Hey guys, it's Penelope in London. I read astrology charts, evolutionary astrology, and I also help people who have had childhood trauma, looking back to integrate any woundings so that we get to live a great life. One of the people that I adore, that I've been following his work now for quite a number of years, is Carl Jung, and you can see his chart here. And what I'm going to do is just today address his rising sign and his sun and his moon. So if you can see, I'll just get my spotlight. So what we have is that the rising sign, he had Aquarius, and then he had his sun, which is on the DC in Leo. You can just see there, and 3 degrees. And then he's also got the moon, which was 15 degrees here of Capricorn. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, let me just see. I can't see that sign. Or Taurus. What am I doing? Taurus. Forgive me for that. That sign there threw me for a moment and the screen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you to another chart for a minute, and then I'm going to come back to this, and then we'll talk about this chart briefly. So let's see here. And I'm going to do a new share. All right, so this is very colorful, so it's very easy to see here. So you can see how colorful we've got the Aquarius here, and then we've got Leo here, and the DC is where his sun is, and then he's got his moon in Taurus, and also he's got Pluto in Taurus there, and we've got Mercury in Cancer, Venus in the sign of Cancer, the sun in Leo, Uranus in Leo, Jupiter in Libra, and we've got Mars in Sagittarius, and he's MC up there. It looks like it's just, let's see if it goes into Sagittarius or Scorpio. This will be interesting. So his MC is 29 degrees of Scorpio. Now that's beautiful to know that, because that is psychology at its height, with, you know, like the Scorpio symbolism. And I will dig deeper on this with some astrologers, because that 29th degree, it's a degree that's often talked about, the 29th degree. So we'll definitely do more on this. But what I want to do today is definitely do the sun, the moon, and the rising sign. So let's go back to, oh, one more thing. Here. You see this, you've got this, if you bring up a chart, you can bring up his chart on astro.com, and your own chart for that matter, if you got your time of birth. So the sun, these are all the natal planets here, and the AC, the MC. And then what we have is these symbolisms here are transposed up here. So if we look at this in conjunct that's going on, he's got Jupiter to Pluto, see that there? And if we look at Pluto and we go to the inconjunct, you can see that Pluto is in conjunct Jupiter. So Pluto in conjunct Jupiter. And then if we look at Pluto again, we've got that same in conjunct to Mars. So you go Pluto in conjunct to Mars. So this actually looks like a yod, or it is a yod. So that's something else I will look at too. I'm glad I'm doing this way today. I was gonna do a big slideshow on it, but I thought, no, let's just bring up the chart and start talking about it. I'm in the mood. So also Saturn, he's got in Aquarius, and then we've got, and Saturn actually will be moving into Aquarius for all of us on the 21st of December. And that will be an interesting time for us going ahead. Then he's got his North Node in the sign of Aries, which is pioneer. You know, it's a where you basically, you're living out your life. It's really important that you follow your own rules. And then he's got Neptune in, let's see, Taurus as well. So, and the moon, we've done that. So now I'm going to go back to the other chart, do a new share and go back to his chart. Okay, so I like this chart myself. So you can see that he's got this finger of God, it's called, which is a yod, because it's the degrees between here, and then a sextile. And this is something that can be very hard in life, but also it's a gift when we're figuring something out. He's got squares to the moon, no square to the moon, but the Pluto squares his Saturn, and we want to look at what the moon's doing. The moon is also sextile to his Mercury, and it also looks like that to Venus, but we'll dig deeper. This is a conjunction. It's a weak conjunction, but it's 9 degrees separating here, and the Sun to his Uranus there. So let's do this. So his first house is Aquarius, okay, and he's a rising, and this is where the approach to life is unconventional, and it's very original and also very objective, and it's an intellectual stance on life. The second house here that you can see, it's where, you know, there can be some confusion around money matters. And, you know, early in his life, he had difficulty making ends meet early in his life. And he did marry into money, though. And also the other thing was that he did fall out with Freud. They had a friendship for about 7 years, I think 6 or 7 years, and they fell out. So that must have been hard for him at that time. Maybe I would need to do more research. And also that there's a big value about compassion here. Compassion is really important, which I think, you know, we can see he had a lot. Very spiritual, beautiful man. Aries on the third house here is he like to talk. It makes you sort of very quick in your talking, and they like initiating communications, and communications would be really, really important, you know, fast, quick communication, which he did with his psychology. You can see he's got 4 planets in the third house, but he has Chiron is in Aries as well, which is also the current transit. Chiron is currently in Aries for them, the collective chart, all of us, but it'll be somewhere different in each of our charts. So this would have been, you know, with the Chiron there, this is where the wound is to do with communication with siblings and, you know, local stuff. And that was the truth for him at the time as well, communication not being heard. That would have been, he would have been hypersensitive about that. He's got Gemini on the 4th house cusp here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it does go into Gemini here. And we've got also, this would be very important for exchanging ideas. And also we would have had, let's see, he's got 29 degrees. I'm just thinking about this, Gemini. Okay, so let's go Gemini on the 5th house cusp. Stickler likes to play around, you know, especially with games, and amuse himself as well. He also did a lot of art as well. He did the Red Book, you know, he was a big artist. While I stop there, I just want to check that, because I'm looking at my records and I don't think Gemini is on the 4th house cusp, looking at that. Okay, so we've got, because it's literally a degree, it's like, it's really close. That's what I'm thinking there. So then we've got the 6th house cusp is Cancer here, you've got there. And this is where loved ones would be really important on a daily basis. And needing a comforting and safe routine, that would have been really important. He's got Venus and Mercury there, so there would have been communication and also loving his work, which he did, if he would call it work. Then there's Leo on the 7th house cusp, and this is where we can be very enthusiastic and having a lot of fun in relationship. And also, you know, one can quickly get bored with this symbolism here as well. And needing attention from loved ones, that would have been very important, which I'm sure he had a lot of attention from loved ones. Virgo on the 8th house cusp is where clarity comes, and it's through sharing resources, and also a need to know the exact details of any contracts would have been really important, and being conscious of the need for, you know, cleanliness as well, particularly with sexual relations, you know, that would have been important. Libra on the 9th house cusp, which is here, this is traveling with one's partner and enjoying philosophizing together. That would have been very important with that, because it's in Libra, so this is to do with partnerships. So we look at charts in many different ways. Sagittarius on the 10th house cusp, this is about career. It's you know, the goal we're reaching for and our public image. And it would have been, you know, he wasn't noticed publicly because that's what it means, and a lot of foreign connections, which he also had. And also it could have, you know, a feeling of difficulty of settling down because the career path, you know, needs to be with Sagittarius, freedom would have been needed heavily, and teaching, which he did as well, you know, through his work. He's taught, and he still continues to teach way after his passing from planet Earth. Hey, so this is beautiful. Also, he's got Sagittarius on the 11th house cusp, so just here. And this is a fun-loving friend, and, you know, the need to explore the world, which he did. He traveled abroad, which was, you know, very pioneering of him in those early years, traveling to Africa and such like. And then on the 12th house cusp, we have, which I've lost here. We'll go back to that. Okay. Right, I've lost that little bit of information I've written down. So now what we're going to look at is the ascendant. So the ascendant for Carl Gustav Jung is Aquarius, and this is masculine, and it's a masculine energy, and it's where we seek purpose in life. It's where we take the initiative and not really waiting for, you know, until circumstances are comfortable. It's literally where somebody wants to take the initiative. It's also a fixed sign, and very fixed in purpose, which he was. You know, he wanted to understand the soul, and he was very fixed, and he also had a lot of self-reliance and independence, and he was very unconventional and extremely original, hey, if you think about how original he was at that time. And with people, because it's Aquarius, you know, it's to do with individuation, but it's also because the ruler is Uranus. But the other thing we've got here is that Aquarius is to do with hopes, dreams, and friends, and also large groups of people, and, you know, not being the leader particularly, but being in groups and, you know, working together with others. So there could have been fracturing of friendships, which there were. The ruler of the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, and the 11th house is also, you know, the ruler of the 11th house is Uranus, and that's groups of people again. And his Mars, actually, which is interesting, is there. So again, I'll be digging deeper in the coming weeks. And he was, you know, with this, it would have made him a very good judge of character, and also he would have had to learn to trust his instincts. And he was linked with humanitarian causes, very much so, and also metaphysical, and also he was interested in scientific ideals. He actually, I was listening to Map of the Soul by Murray Stein, and the last few days on Audible, and it's so good, I'm ordering the book as well, because I need both now. And Murray Stein was explaining how Jung was measuring words in a scientific way, looking at trigger words, you know, the complexes we have, and he was measuring how words affect people. Jung also brought in the scientific part, and he was also friends with Wolfgang Pauli, who was looking at neutrinos, which is something I was also looking at earlier, funnily enough. So maybe this is why I've decided to do this bit of his chart this evening here. So then what we have is that the moon is in Taurus. And with the moon in Taurus, and it is in the 3rd house, so the moon in Taurus is one thing, and then the house is the other thing. So we integrate those things. But the moon in Taurus is in a good place here, and it's where we're able to own our own emotional needs and also find others to help us. And our emotional needs for stability and steady routines are very important with this, and because this will help us maintain, you know, the life we want by having the stability we need. There can be fear of change with Taurus, you know, the archetype of Taurus, and preferring safety rather than the unknown, and that definitely can be a case. And then also there can be emotional sort of indulging in certain things, you know, that could be food, because again, that's values, but Taurus is also the five senses. So maybe when we're not feeling good, we can overindulge in things, you know, or just overindulge anyway. Also, with the third house, and the moon here is suggesting, you know, the very deep need to communicate, which he did. And also you see the Pluto there and the Neptune and the Chiron. So this communication, but interestingly enough, his wound was also, like his hypersensitivity was around that third house as well, Chiron. So with this, he can be, there's a very where we can be very inventive, and the memory and the ability to converse on any topic, because also the third house is Gemini. So you can see where that comes in there. Also expressing ideas is important, and writing and public speaking, and a need to find one's own voice and express it, whether in public or private, which he did. And a lot of short journeys would have occurred due to this, some symbolism here. And also, you know, curiosity, very curious with the moon there. So then we shall look at the sun, and then that'll be it, my bit for today. But I could really get into Carl Gustav Jung's chart. I absolutely adore him. So the sun in Leo. Okay, so the sun is here. You can see Leo on the DC. And the sun is, the ruler of Leo is the sun. So this indicates very good-hearted and sunny personality, and which shines in the company of others. So there would have been a lot of joy with that, and the need of audience and loving the attention and being center stage would have been, so really perfect chart for Carl Jung here. Most of the time it would have been to, you know, the need to attract attention and enthusiastic about having fun, and, you know, like a spark of lightning around others. And it's where we're generous as well. And children would have been very important, you know, and playful games with the sun in the 7th house, but in Leo particularly. Yes, this is what we're looking at. So I've got my sun actually just where he has, but mine's in Gemini. So it's got a different thing going on there. The sun is the ruler of Leo, as we know, and it's very positive, sunny aspects there. And the sun in the 7th house, it's where relationships are a major feature in life and with business as well. So not just, you know, intimate relationships, but all relationships, and very warm-hearted and loving when relating to others. And particularly primary partners are important with this placement, and shining, you know, when one is happily married, a lot of shining and living and working closely with somebody else in partnerships. So also, we would also look at, depending on the sections, other parts of the chart, you know, because what we would then do is look for the aspects, and you can see he's got trines to his sun here. There's a trine going on there, but there is also a square going on there to the Neptune. So I'm going to dig deeper on this, but I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of information I've given you. And I'll come back with some more in the coming week and maybe get a bit more together, definitely. Thanks for listening. Thank you.